Wow. Well, I know you're stepping out this Treasury soon, so are you going to be able to have this continue, or will that next person in line of you be the one that decides if they keep that or not? Because I really like this idea.
Well, it's one of the reasons why I did this was I knew I wouldn't be treasurer forever. Eventually I would be termed out, or in this case, I'm running for another office. I still wanted to have access to that information. I didn't want to have it, because right now, all this, the good information is locked away in these arcane computer systems, and you have to be somebody really special or powerful to get the information. And I wanted to still have access to this even when I was no longer treasurer, because we actually use a lot of this data to predict the economy. And using this operating balance data, the actual number in the checkbook, is how we predicted this recession back in 2007. How we, if you remember, I was calling this recession long before anybody. I mean, I got called Chicken Little for predicting what we're going through now, and it turns out I was too optimistic. But this is how we did it. It was looking at these numbers, and so I wanted to make sure I still had access to it after I was gone. And I think now that whoever follows is going to have a really hard time turning this off. Because we've made it public, because it's been so popular, I think anybody that tried to cut off the public's flow of information would be just destroyed politically. So I think now, once it's out there, it's always going to be out there in public.
Wow. And you probably created it so well that it will be easy for them to go ahead and keep it going.
Yeah, it should be very simple to maintain. The only concern we had is we wanted to get more historical data, previous years, on the web. But unfortunately, the governor's accounting office wanted to charge us $800 a month for historical data. And that's almost $10,000 a year. We just couldn't afford it. So it's very simple to capture the data each month and daily going forward. But so the historical data, we're kind of stuck. And it's not that we made it very simple to continue. But, again, that's a good question for whoever else is running for treasurer. Are you going to keep transparency like we have?
Yeah, I sure hope so, because I think it's great to be able to go on there and check out all the spending that's going on. Because, we hear, all the complaints out there and all the recessions that we're going through. And now we can look and see what's happening and where the dollar's going. But I like, so everybody that gets a ticket and has to pay the courts, it's all on there too. Every fine that's paid.
You see the total amount that are paid in fines. You don't see who paid the fine.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, you don't see that individual. You can't see, oh, my neighbor got a photo radar ticket. You can't look that up. We can't, that type of information you can't display.
But you can see the total amount of fines that are being paid.
That's correct.
And what about that should be coming in but maybe isn't being paid? Does that show too, or you just show the money that's coming in?
Yeah, we're the bank, so we see the actual money that crosses our desk, basically.
Wow.
So if it's a promise to pay that hasn't been paid, that won't show up.
Wow. It seems like quite a job, and especially, I guess you have a background anyway in financing.
Yeah,
correct,
I've got a little bit of a financial background in economics. I admit, I'm a nerd. I'm out of the closet on that one. So.
Well, you don't look like a nerd, but I know what you're saying. So that's great. Well, my goodness, this has been so good. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Precious treasure, Dean Martin, for getting this going for us so that we can all check this out. We want to run real quick to your information so people know how to get a hold of you to reach the Honorable Dean Martin, who is the Arizona State Treasurer. 602-604-7800 if you have a question. That's his office. And you can email them at info@aztreasury.gov. Their website is aztreasury.gov, and also what we've been just talking about, the azcheckbook.com. So thank you so much for putting that all together for us and helping us so we can go see where all the money's going from our paychecks and everything when we get tickets and all. And hopefully we won't get too many. I'm very careful not to get snapped by that radar. We have really, I think everything's cut down and been a lot better since that's been out there, even though I'm not real happy about it all. But it's, but in a way it's really helped get people in order.
Photo radar doesn't stop the bad behavior. It only takes a picture of it. I prefer having officers out there because they actually stop the speeder, they stop the drunk driver, And
Yes.
there's a lot, how many felony stops? Warren Jeffs, Timothy McVeigh. I mean, simple traffic stops where they make big felony arrests. So, I would rather see more real officers out there.
too.
Because not only, because it doesn't just stop the speeding, it stops a whole bunch of other things too.
Behavior. Yeah, and catches the whole thing. So anyway, but real quick, we want to run to a 30-second PSA, and we'll be right back.
If only our paychecks were growing as fast as our kids. Good thing we got extra money back from the IRS on our taxes.
And we can afford all this?
Yeah. It's something called the Earned Income Tax Credit.
Can we help set the table?
When you make less than $48,000 a year, it makes all the difference.
See if you qualify at irs.gov/EITC.
Hi, thank you. We're so happy that you have stayed tuned. I'm here with the Honorable Dean Martin, who is our Arizona State Treasurer, and we're going to be talking now about when will we be out of the recession? That's a big question, huh? Probably never, but maybe not.
Well, if you want to understand this economy and you want to get a kind of a picture of what the economy looks like, you want to think Nike. Now, not Tiger Woods. That's more like
Yes.
Congress, You want to think the Nike logo. That Nike
Yes.
swoosh? That gives you a good picture of what's going on. You got that bubble up on the front of their logo. That was the housing bubble, back in 04, 05, and 06. Then you had the crash down. That's what we've been living in the last few years, Then you got that little saddle and that long tail out. We are in that little saddle right now. Everything we're seeing is that the economy is starting to bottom out. The economy is starting to find a floor. We're not there yet. We hopefully will be over the next few months. Now, nationally, the national economy is already in recovery, but Arizona is not. We'll probably start our recovery later this year, which is good news. Now, the thing about it is it's the long tail out. It's not going to be a real fast recovery. We're not going to bounce right out of it like we did in the past because we have so many of those vacant homes. I mean, we estimate 67,000 homes were built during the housing bubble that we didn't have people to move into. And the same thing with commercial. We have 40 million square feet, we estimate, of vacant office space. So it's going to take a while to dig our way out of the hole that the state has been dug into. But the good news is we're at the bottom. Assuming there's not a terrorist attack or some sort of other unusual, strange event that hits the economy, we should start our slow recovery later this year. So we like to joke, flat is the new up this year.
Flat.
Flat is the new up.
Wow, I like that. That's good. So you really feel like we'll be starting out about when?
It's always the most difficult to pick the very top and the very bottom, but I think it'll be this late summer, early fall. We'll actually start seeing some positive numbers. We're seeing a few areas where it's not falling as fast as it did before. And we actually had 1 month where we had positive year-over-year numbers for corporate income tax collections. Now, 1 month doesn't make a trend, but that's unusual. We haven't seen that in a long time. And so part of it is the way I kind of describe this is, if you think about it, during the housing bubble, we had some communities that were doing 1,100 building permits a month that today are lucky to do 10. That's a huge drop. That's what we've been experiencing. But if next month they do 12, that's a 20% increase in home sales. I mean, and so it was so bad last year. It's going to be easy to do a little bit better. And it's going to be, it's one of those things where what's going to happen over the next year is you're going to hear companies that are going to say, we're probably not doing any more layoffs. Maybe they've stopped. Or you'll have companies that they'll start maybe doing more overtime because they've got a little bit more work, but they don't want to hire people yet. Unemployment will continue to rise throughout the